Good morning everyone. So welcome you all once again to Bytecode Technical Solutions. So since I am working in Sri Datta Institute of Engineering and Science at Hyderabad, so I will be discussing about the Database Management System Laboratory in respect to R22 regulation. So for this video, the contents will be as shown on the screen. So here we are going to create first the new user. Then we are going to use the newly created user. Later on we will check out how to create a new database and use the database. Further we will have a sample of creating a new table and inserting values in the table. So let us start with the creation of new user. Before that, let us check out how to use MySQL software. So that you need to first open the command prompt and you need to follow the particular command that is displayed on the screen. So we will go for using MySQL -u root -p. So here u root indicates that we are requesting to connect to the MySQL server using the root user account, whereas -p instructs about the asking permission for the password, so that you can apply the password that is you have created, and using that password you will be able to log in into the particular user. So we will try to demonstrate about that with the following. So herein I am going to use the command prompt So the command what we have just noticed is MySQL -u root -p and then press enter. It is requesting you for the password. The password what we have kept, the standard password is ROOT, which is all in small, and press enter. So it will take you to the MySQL command prompt, or else you can say like it is going to take you to the MySQL command line prompt. So from here we can start using or creating the MySQL software for the different purposes, like either creation of a new database or a creation of a new table. So let us go back to my PPT. So first we will check about how to create a new user. So the MySQL user is a record in the user table of a MySQL server that contains the information about login. It also contains the account privileges, and it also contains the host information. Okay. So the MySQL create user statement allows us to create a new user account in the database. So let us start creating the new user. So on the screen you can see the syntax for creating the new user, wherein we have the syntax create user, username. You can give any username whatever you prefer for, and further it is identified by the password, what password you want to provide it for the newly created user. So let us get back to the MySQL prompt and let us experience the practical. So here I am going to create a new user for my all the further upcoming whatever I am going to perform the transactions, or else creating any tables, creating any database. So for that case I am going to create a new user. So create user. So username I am going to give it as database 123. Identified by password I am going to give it as database. Press semicolon and then press enter. You can see one query is executed. Now let us move back to the newly created user. How to go to the user is something like this. Exit from the MySQL command prompt. It will take you back to the command prompt. There, before you have used the command like MySQL -u root and -p. You can just look at the mouse pointer what I am prompting at. Now if you use this same command with the difference with the root name, that is MySQL -u, instead of going for the root user, I will go for the newly created user like database 123. Okay, so let us check it out. MySQL -u database 123 -p and then press enter. It is asking for the password. So here the password I have given as database. So I will type the password as database and press enter. So once you press enter, it will take you back to the MySQL prompt. It means that your user has been successfully created. So when the new user is created, so all the permissions or privileges for creating a table or creating a database would not be available with the new user. It will be only available with the root user. So hence we need to provide the permissions. So before creating any table or before creating any database in the newly created user, that is database 123, first we have to go back to the root user and then see that I will provide all the permissions, all the privileges for the newly created user, that is database 123. To do that, let us exit back to the command prompt. I came back to the command prompt and I will re-log in to the root user using the command MySQL -u root -p. So herein I will give the password of the root user, that is ROOT. I will come back to the MySQL root user. So here I am going to give the permissions for the newly created user. So the query for providing the permissions is grant all on to username. So username is database 123. Okay, put the semicolon and then press enter. So now it is telling query okay. It means all the permissions, all the privileges for either creating a new database or creating a new table, insertion of records in the table are being provided. So you can use any type of transactions with this newly created user, that is database 123. So let us re-log in back into my new user by again exiting this particular MySQL root user. Okay, using the command exit, it will come back to the command prompt. So re-log in to the newly created user, that is database 123. So using the command MySQL -u database 123 then -p. It will prompt you for the password. The password is database. So again it is going to take you back to the MySQL prompt. Okay, so this is how we learnt about creating the new user. Let us understand about how to create a new database. So here we have the syntax of creating the new database. So a database is used to store the collection of records in an organized form. Okay, so it allows us to hold the data in the form of tables, rows, columns, and either in the form of views. Okay, so we can access these all data and manage the records through the database very easily. So we are going to use or create this database using our MySQL command line client. Okay, So here is the syntax of creating the database. So the syntax is create database and the database name what you want to provide for the new database. Okay. So let us check it out practically. I will go back to my MySQL command prompt using the new user, that is database 123. So let me check out what databases are already available. So we can use the command as show databases semicolon and then press enter. So it will list out all the databases available in the MySQL database. Okay, right. So now I want to create a new database using the syntax what we have seen on the screen before. So that is create database and then the database name whatever you want to provide it. So here I will give the database name as Dbms DB. So DBMS means database management system database. Okay, and then press semicolon and then press enter. It is telling like one query is okay. So let us recheck the databases status. So using the same command show databases, you can see dbms underscore db has been created successfully. Now yet we are under the root database, that is under MySQL database. So let us move into the newly created database. So the command is use and then the database name. So the new database name is dbms db. Press semicolon and then press enter. You can see that the database is changed from the root database to the newly created database, that is dbms underscore db. Now from here we can start creating our tables and we can start inserting record in our table. So successfully we understood about how to create a database and how to use the newly created database. Let us go to the next point. So next is that we are going to understand about how to create a new table. So here is the syntax available for creating the new table. So first of all, for that the table we will actually use is to organize the data in the form of the rows and columns and use it for storing and displaying the records in a structurized format. Okay. So here we are going to create the table in the following way. On the screen you can see the syntax. So the syntax is create table, the table name followed by opening of the parenthesis, and we will provide the column definitions. Column definitions include both the name of the column as well as the definition of the column or the data type what you are going to use it. In generally we can even say like what domain we want to give for a particular column. So in RDBMS, column can be stated in the alternative name as either attribute or field. Okay. And lastly you can see in the syntax we have table constraints available. So this specifies such as like which of the column will be taken as either a primary key or unique key or foreign key, or see that any main important key. Okay. So we can mention here in the constraints that what we are going to do with. Okay. So let us create a new table, some sample table of an employee having some certain set of attributes or else certain set of columns. So in generally let us take example of that employee table wherein we have employee ID, employee name, employee address and employee salary as a different 4 attributes provided with the definitions such as what data type I am going to use for each of these column. Okay. And then let us define the primary key element available in the table. Okay. So let us move back to our MySQL command prompt and let us start creating the table. So according to the syntax, create table table name what we are decided to give is employee. Okay, starting of parenthesis. So here we are going to define the first attribute, that is employee ID. So the definition for this I am going to give it as int. Take some particular size like 10, and here I am going to provide it as not null. This not null will tell me that I cannot keep the ID column as empty whenever I am going to insert a new record. Some value has to be given compulsory. So for moving on to the next attribute, I am going to use the comma that will help me to separate between the two different attributes. Then the next I am going to define the attribute as emp employee name. So name will be having consisting of the characters. So here we are going to use the data type as variable character. So since the name of the persons will be very long, so I am going to use some particular size about 25, and here also I will keep it as not null. Then I am going to give the next attribute, that is employee address, and this also I am going to define it as variable character. Here I am going to give the size as some particular size 30. Here I have not mentioned not null. This not null constraint can be either used or may not be used. It is not compulsory to be used for all the attributes. So here if I am avoiding using the not null constraint for the employee address, it means that if at all I may forget to enter the employee address, the default value will be given by the database system as null. Okay. So last attribute, that is employee salary. So salary in the form of integer values. So I will give the integer, and size I will give it as 10. So next we need to define about the primary key, that what I want to use. When I see this employee table, we have different attributes available like employee ID, employee name, employee address, and employee salary. All these attributes are depending on the main attribute, that is employee ID, which is the unique element in this table. Employee name depends on employee ID, employee address depends on employee ID, employee salary even also depends on employee ID. So what type of employee he is, so it will be defined in the employee ID. So like either he might be a technical employee or a non-technical employee. So different employee will be having different salary status. Okay. So maybe that employee name will be having some duplicates, wherein two persons can have duplicate values, but employee ID will be always unique, and it represents the single value. Okay, it represents the single value. It does not have the multiple values. So on the basis of employee ID, I can say that we can judge the uniqueness of the table, that is employee. Hence we will take this employee ID as a primary key. So we can define the primary key using the following syntax, that is primary key. So within the parenthesis we are going to mention which attribute I am going to take it as a primary key, that is employee ID. So we have started this table creation by opening of the parenthesis, then close the parenthesis, keep semicolon, and then press enter. So you can see that one query has been generated. Now if you want to check whether the table is created or not, so the command is show tables, and you can see in the Dbms DB database we can see employee table is created. So since it is a newly created table, so no records will be there available as default. So even though if you want to check whether if any record exists or not, you can use the command as select star from employee. So I am going to discuss about this command select star from employee in the upcoming video. So don't worry about what query I am using right now. Okay. So here it is showing the output as empty set. It means no records are available in the table what is created new. So now we have successfully created a new table. Let us check out how to insert the new record in a table. So we can insert a new record in the table using the insert statement in MySQL. So MySQL insert statement is used to store or add a new record in the MySQL table what we have created within the database. So we can perform the insertion of the records in two ways. First one is insert record in a single row or insert record in a multiple row. Let us check out about the syntax of inserting the record in a single row. So in the single row we can use the command like the query like insert into table name, the table name what we have created. Now we have created employee. So first we have to specify the field name. The field, as I told previously, the columns can be also named as either fields or attributes. So field 1, field 2, field n up till, and further continued with values, and we will give the value of the fields. So this is how we are going to create the single record, that is single row. So suppose if you want to create multiple records, you can go for the next syntax, that is insert into table name values. So you can specify the different rows values directly without mentioning the field names. So corresponding field will be having corresponding values. So if I want to proceed for the next row, I can use the comma here, that will further take me to the next row. So after inserting the first row, we will put a comma here, and then we will go for the inserting the value of the second row, and again comma. Like this I can put n number of rows in the records in the table, created table. Let us demonstrate it. So now we have created a new table employee. So to check out what attributes are available, you can use the command describe employee. This will provide me the skeletal view or an overview of the employee table and specifies what type of definitions are being provided for the each attributes or the each column or the each fields. Okay, whether it is a primary key or what type of value it is. Okay, so let us start inserting the value in it. So we will go for using the first type, that is insert into employee. So first field name is what? Employee ID. Second field name is employee name. Third field name is employee address, and lastly the fourth field name is employee salary. Close the bracket, and we have values, and then we start inserting the values in it. So first is employee ID. It is a type of integer type. So let me give that value as 11. So next is employee name. Since it is a character type of data, so I am going to insert it in a single quotes. So let me give the name as Ram. Next is address. So address you can give as that of any type. So since I am in Hyderabad, so I will try to give the names or areas belonging to Hyderabad city. So let me give the address as LB Nagar, and employee salary. So consider the person to be a technical person. So employee salary we can give out as 50,000. So this is how we are going to insert only one record available in a one record available. Okay, so we can check whether the particular record is inserted or not. using the query select star from employee. You can see employee ID has been given the value as 11, employee name given as Ram, employee address given as LB Nagar, employee salary given as 50,000. So this is the first way of inserting the value in a single row. Let us insert now in a multiple rows. So the syntax is insert into employee values. So here we are not going to specify the field names, directly we are going to specify the corresponding values. So now since employee ID is a primary key, it cannot be having any duplicates. So we are going to give the different IDs for the different employees. So earlier we have given the value as 11. Let me take some random value as 13. The name here I am going to give it as Sham. Address I am going to give it as IBP. And next salary here I am going to consider as the lower salary. Why? Because he is not a technical employee. So we will give it as 30,000. So close the bracket. So since we are going for the multiple rows, put a comma that will separate from the first row values and from the second row values. Again open and close the parenthesis, and here we are going to insert the second row values. So now I am going to take the employee ID as 12, name I will give it as Adi, address I am going to keep it as Jubilee Hills, or else like Uppal, any address you can give, no problem. So employee salary here I am going to give as technical employee salary, that is 50,000. So here we are trying to insert two records at one time. So earlier we have inserted only one record. So let us check whether this will execute or not. So again put a semicolon at the end and press enter. You can see the query is telling like two records are being entered and there are no duplicates available in this. Okay, right. So let us check back whether the two records are inserted in the table or not using the command select star from employee. You can see that we have got the records inserted. So successfully we are able to insert the records using the two ways, that is insert record in a single row and insert record in the multiple rows. Bye guys, for today we are going to close our content. So the next upcoming details will be continued with the next video. Thank you, take care, bye.